في الصوت. نو ساوند كده. هسه كده انتوا سامعين؟ الناس اللي في فيسبوك كده اكتبوا لي الناس اللي في فيسبوك. الناس اللي في فيسبوك كده اكتبوا لي كده انتوا سامعين ولا ما سامعين؟ انا كنت تحت في الاستديو وهسه رفعت نفسي فوق في الاستديو. اي ثينك انتوا ممكن تسمعوا كده مش كده؟ الناس لسه بيقولوا ما في كيف الكلام ده؟ يا جماعه انتوا عملوا ريفرش. الناس اللي في فيسبوك عملوا ريفرش. انا كنت قبل تحت لكن هسه رفعت نفسي فوق في صوت واضح. يس يا صوت واضح. طيب الناس اللي بيكتبوا ده معلوم. لو في زول انت عندك مشكله في الصوت بليز، لو عندك مشكله في الصوت اطلع وتعال راجع تاني. اطلع وتعال راجع تاني. الناس اللي بيكتبوا ده اطلع وتعال راجع. يا سو انا ده يا ثانك يو سو ماتش. يس this what I know. انا كنت تحت فعلا في الاستديو لكن انا رفعت نفسي فوق لانه انا ما داير نعمل ما داير نشخط ما راح اكون في فيسبوك بالصوره بتاعي. انا خطيت الصوره بتاعت باغانا مومو كيج اللي هو الناطق الرسمي باسم المنظومات السته النون سيجنتريز للاتفاقيه بتاعت السلام اللي وقعت في 2018. في الحلقه ده انا هنا دايرين نستضيف الناطق الرسمي باسم ست المنظومات الغير موقعه الاتفاقيه واللي هي دعت they call for the round table. أننا دايرين نادي في بالذات اليوم ده دايرين نسعى للناس زيل. كان المنظومات دي عرضت التمديد بتاع الاتفاقيه والناس كلها كانوا متفقين انه يجب ان لا يتم تمديد الاتفاقيه. اميجو انت قاعد معي فوق لانه بعد شويه والبي بيزي بعد جنرال باغان اوريدي هيكون معنا هنا اكزاكتلي الساعه 12 و15 ولا 16 دقيقه وكان في اجتماع but already he will join us shortly. انا داير اكد للناس انه الحلقه ده الغرفه ده هيكون بس ساعه ونص لغايه الساعه 1:30 انينا نقفل الروم. دايرين الروم ده يكون ريكوردد في فيسبوك وفي يوتيوب. الناس اللي قاعدين في كلاب هاوس خلوني اول حاجه انا بعتذر بصراحه. بقى في حاجات قاعد يحصل في كلاب هاوس حاجات ما متوقعه خالص يعني. I don't know really what to say. لكن كلاب هاوس look like few a lot of scams. والاداره بتاعت كلاب هاوس ذاتها يعني انت كان كتبت لهم رساله you send them email they don't respond back to you. لكن what I realize انه في ناس قاعدين يجوا امبارح الروم بتاعهم امبارح لكل الناس اللي قاعدين الروم it doesn't appear actually ما delete بالروم ده من ما انتهينا من الروم ما ظهر ما عمل لنا notification. معناه في ناس امبارح كتير بيجوا في الروم وبيطلعوا actually they were reporting the room. كلاب هاوس ما بيشيلوا الروم برا الا يكون في ناس بيعملوا reporting the room. This is what happened. الروم بتاع امبارح ما عمل notification يا ناس وريلي ناس كلارا ناس الكل امبارح انتوا شاركتوا في الروم المهم امبارح. للاسف الشديد يعني انا جيت عرفت امبارح بغلط. انا قلت كده اشوف الروم كنت لانه انا كنت اصل البيت عشان برضه نعمل له نرسله في اللابتوب ونعمل له داونلود فما ظهر الروم ما موجود. انا رجع لي نوتيفيكيشن انا ما لقيت نوتيفيكيشن برضه قلت لاميجو شوف نوتيفيكيشن لان انا كنت قاعد اتكلم مع امباسادور فاروق فقلت له الروم ما في قال لي لا الروم في ما انا قبل كنت قاعد اشاهد قلت له لا الروم ما في انا كنت ما في تليفون ما في قلت له خلاص خليني اقفل التليفون ادق لاميجو دقيت لاميجو فعلا قلت له اميجو كده تشوف النوتيفيكيشن بتاعك ما لقينا نوتيفيكيشن للروم بتاعتنا بتاع امبارح. فده دي هسه اني هنا من بدينا عندنا 3 رومات مهمه جدا اننا الناس بيجوا بيعمل لهم ريبورتنج اثناء الروم شغال. بدا يتكون لي في ذهني ده الناس منو بالضبط كده قاعد يعمل ريبورتنج في الروم. امبارح في ناس بيجوا خاشين في الروم حتى في المعارضه ذاتهم they reporting the room yesterday. This is something I believe in it but I don't want to mention any name and also I will be careful because this behavior now is look like is going to continue with people teaming up from the government from the opposition and to report my rooms in clubhouse وكده. And that while في some people individuals if أنا شفتهم اللي قدام في الروم I will remove them. They will not be part of any room I'm going to host anymore. And this I need to put it clear to anyone. Because there is no reason اللي بيخلي الروم ما يحصل notification. The only reason, the only justification, أنا نزلت على cyber security. The only justification when you go to rules وأنا امبارح لما جيت حتى ما كنت مبسوط يعني ناس amigo, I was not happy really. Even I left the call because I was thinking why this is happening. And I came from work, I sit in the computer and I got in last night name, try to find out why this is happening. And the only justification I just find out in Finas Biju, and they almost came in to report the room. Biju, they report the room and they left. Clubhouse Mabimsa room bitak, they report it and they leave the room. And this also is good to know this. So room bitakna ma General Pagan hasa lela هيكون في recorded في فيسبوك وفي Clubhouse وفي يوتيوب. الحاجة الثانية أنا ما بقدر نعمل recording في شغل. and I discussed the issue last night with Amigo. كلارا برضه إنه I cannot record when I'm at work. And that why لأنه مرات شغل طبعا أنت لازم تاخد سماعة. That why we are able sometimes to do some room. But carrying the recorder, you need to actually have a speaker or recorder at the same time. فده كله مشكلة. So anyhow أنا داير أقول للناس اللي امبارح اللي كانوا معي في منصة الروم اللي امبارح كان سمح الروم الجميل فيه كلام سمح. Very unfortunate we actually lost the room. نحن فقدنا الروم. ناس عملوا reported والناس اللي عملوا reporting للروم they know themselves. And why they do that, they know that why they do that. But أنا داير نأكد لهم. أنا داير نأكد لأي زول قاعد يجي هنا ده. And you come here with two faces. أنا داير نأكد لك إنه صوت الشعب ده ما هتقدر توقف. ولا ده هيأثر في الرسالة بتاعت صوت الشعب. أنا لو قاعد في البيت الروم ده will be recorded in live Facebook وكذلك in YouTube. أنا داير ندي فرصة بسيط لأميغو لعدي مع جنرال باغان. We are waiting for the spokesperson بتاع 6 organization. داير نأكد للناس إنه ما عندي مصلحة نمسح الرومات بتاعي. للأسف الروم من ما امبارح قفل ما في notification. The only justification just إنه there is people they were reporting were exceeded the numbers required من Clubhouse for actually not posting the replay. This is the only justification, nothing more than that. So, amigo, you can come in, my brother.
شكرا brother Edward. I hope صوته واضح.
ارفع صوتك شوي يا زيد الصوت شوي بس.
اوكي. خلينا اسمع بعدين شوي. ان شاء الله كده كويس. خلينا انا اسلم عليكم للناس الموجودين في الفيسبوك وفي الكلاب هاوس وفي يوتيوب. انا اسلم عليكم باسم بتاعت ساوث سودان بوليتيكال كلاب. والليله طبعا يعني في نيو ديفلوبمنت كنا we expecting an extension day is going to happen. And that's why we're having this brief room with Honorable General Pagana Mum, the chairman of the Real SPLM. Welcome to the stage. مبسوطين تكون معنا هنا. طبعا يعني امبارح نحن شفنا الترويكا they boycott الكونفرنس بتاعت الاكستنشن ده امبارح. وهم رسلوا يعني very strong رسالة لبريزيدنت كير they're not going to be part of this extension لأنه هيكون تعب للشعب بتاع جنوب السودان ولأنه ما في it's not in good faith الاكستنشن ده لأنه في بعض من السيجناتوريز they supposed to be part of it they يعني ما عمل لهم inform. فعلى كل حال انا ما هتكلم كتير بنخلي الفرصه ده لجنرال باغانا موم عشان يقدر يكون عنده فرصه كفايه يتكلم عن الاكستنشن ده والبوزيشن بتاعهم as the big six. What is the way forward بعد الاكستنشن ده معامل نفسه لمده 24 months لمده سنتين من هسه. فعلى كل حال انا بكيف هنا وندي فرصه لبراديل وتويلكم جنرال باغانا موم.
شكرا اميغو وشكرا لكل الناس الاوديون اللي جا في روم. الناس اللي قاعدين في كلاب هاوس بليز شير ذا روم. الناس اللي قاعده في فيسبوك انا شايف في اتاكينج قاعد يحصل تقريبا لللايف. سو الناس اللي قاعده في فيسبوك بليز اعمل لايك لللايف بالذات في فيسبوك and also في يوتيوب we are fine, there is no problem في يوتيوب. عملوا لايك. أنا برضو هسه لقيت رسالة من مولانا سالم إنه الناطق الرسمي باسم المجموعة الستة عندهم غرفه بعد شويه تقريبا مع السفير ايمانويل اجاوين زي ما كتب لي مولانا سالم. لكن انا اقول لمولانا سالم مدوا الغرفه شويه. الغرفه ده ما بياخد كثير اكثر من ما بياخد اكثر من ساعه ونص، يعني ما بنمشي اكثر من ساعه ونص. في عندنا سؤالين جنرال باغان كناطق الرسمي لمجموعه 6 يجاوب عليهم، وبعد ذلك قاعدين بنشيل some question من الاوديو اللي قاعدين تحت لجنرال باغان الناطق الرسمي باسم المجموعه، وبعد ذلك الغرفه بنقفلها وممكن هو ينضم لكم، ممكن نمشي نفتح الغرفه داك مباشره. خليني اراهب ب كومراد باغان امومو كي انينا للناس اللي قاعدين في المشاهدين اللي في فيسبوك والناس المشاهدين في يوتيوب والمستمعين في كلاب هاوس. انينا مستضيفين باغان هنا كناطق رسمي باسم مجموعه السته النون سيجنتريز تو ذا اجريمنت، ما مستضيفينه كشيرمان. and just باعتباره لغاء بسيط دايرينه عشان يعلق على اللي تم الليله. الquestion I think we have only question for General Paganamum, okay, and we are happy for you to be with us here. My question to you, as you know today, the government, the RT Gono in Juba, they extended the transitional period. President Salva Kiir extended the transition period for 24 months. What is the position of the sixth organization from this? We want you as a spokesperson for the non-signatories organization to tell South Sudanese, those are inside the country and also those are in diaspora and those are suffering in the other countries. What is the position of this sixth organization? This will be the main question for you, and we are here to address that question. The second question for you also, and I will want that also for you to make a note, put on it. President Kiir today, in his speech, he called on you and General Thomas Shirillo to return to Juba. What is your response to this, to his call? And also another question, why only General Salva Kiir, he mentioned your name and your General Thomas Shirillo? Why he did not mention the name of General Malong, the name of Ambassador Emmanuel Ajawid, and the rest of the opposition? The floor is yours, amigo. I will be busy a little bit. When General Pagan, who I tell them, amigo, we can open the floor to the question. If you have the question, and I the question, General Pagan, thank you so much, General, for being here, and the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Edward. أنا قاعد أضحك لأنه أنت مشيت ضفت فيه سؤال بتاع إنه President Kiir is calling on us to return to Juba. Actually, and why us? So, but thank you for hosting me. I actually just came out from a meeting with the leaders of the 6 organizations, non-signatories to the Revitalized Peace Agreement in South Sudan. Sometimes we are referred to as hold-out groups because we rejected to sign the Revitalized Peace Agreement in Khartoum and later on in Addis as well. Yes, it is true that President Kiir extended their stay in power for 24 months, 2 years at least. And they presented a roadmap. And it is very unfortunate that President Kiir has gone in that path. First of all, the 6 organizations reject any extension because extension of the transition is extending the suffering of the people of South Sudan, who are suffering inside the country, whether they are internally displaced or whether they are in the countryside with a lot of insecurity, or in towns and in our capital, suffering from very serious economic deprivation and economic crisis that is increasing under a government that is not providing any service to them. No service in terms of providing security or protection of life, no service in providing education, no service in providing health, no service in providing even clean water for our people. Our people are living as if there is no government. And for President Kiir and his group and the parties who have been coerced to agree to the extension as per the roadmap that was cooked by the group allied to what they call themselves as interim government or incumbent government, which is the SPLM in government and their allied groups. It is very unfortunate that President Kiir has chosen that path. The six organizations have called on all the political parties in the country, those in the government and those in the opposition, and on all the other stakeholders, our religious leaders, our civil society organizations, our women organizations, and our youth organizations, to convene a roundtable conference to agree on a way forward for the country. Now that the government, the transitional government, has failed again to implement the agreement. The failure of implementation of the revitalized peace agreement, it was not because of lack of time. The failure was a result of obstruction, and President Kiir says this agreement was not designed to be implemented. That is where the problem is. The failure of implementation was not because of lack of time. For the failure was because of intentionally refusing to implement the agreement. Actually, sometimes they spend resources to obstruct the implementation of the agreement. One example is Chapter 5, for example. In Chapter 5, President Kiir spent millions of dollars in hiring a lobby firm here in the United States to work to block the implementation of Chapter 5, particularly the establishment of the hybrid court. You know, the firm that the government hired is known as Gainful Solutions, led by Ambassador Michael Rennenberger. And these millions of dollars specifically were dispersed and spent to obstruct the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement. And that is on record in the filing by the organization itself that the government of South Sudan is hiring them to block the establishment of the hybrid court. That is one example. Another example is that millions of dollars were spent in buying arms and ammunition, in training militia groups, in recruiting and buying officers and winning them over from the opposition, from the SPLM, IO, and from SOA, and using some of these forces to also attack their own partners who have signed the peace agreement with them. According to the report of JAMIC, which is monitoring and verifying the implementation of the agreement, that is their task, their last report has indicated that 52% of the assembly and cantonment areas where the SPLM-IO were assembled in have been attacked and occupied by SPLM-IG forces or allied militia. So in actual fact, resources have been used to obstruct and destroy the agreement itself, including the ceasefire, including the building, the process of cantonment and assembly so that you form unified forces. That is where the money went. Today, it is very unfortunate that Dr. Riek Machar, the leader of IO, has been forced to agree on the extension, knowing very well that the plans to dismember SPLM-IO have not ended. And this time that Dr. Riek is agreeing now for is actually going to be used to finish the SPLM-IO itself. It's very unfortunate because, as an example, as somebody who is an observer and following this situation, you can see what the SPLM-IG has been doing to their partners in the agreement itself, particularly on the SPLM-IO. The resources have been used to lure the Kitugan group after they separated from SPLM-IO. Resources have been used even to divide them. And now they are fighting themselves. Resources have been used to carry out military operations also in Equatoria and other areas. Resources have been used to encourage communal conflict all over the country, whether the conflict in Warab, in northern Tonj, or between our people in Tuj County and our people in Abia. You will see that a lot of guns, a lot of ammunition and other resources being spent, but it's spent on destruction. Then, 2 days ago, the citizen has issued a statement that the majority of soldiers who have been put in cantonment areas have deserted when the graduation was postponed again. So, to extend the government, even when they wrote the roadmap, I went through it, and it is not linked to specific implementation. It is not even linked to holding free and fair elections. There is no timetable to specify clearly the steps on how to meet and implement all the necessary prerequisites for the holding of elections. It is very unfortunate that what President Kiir and the revitalized government have done is only to extend their time in power. And if they are going to continue to do the same thing they were doing, then the country is in danger. First of all, there is no plan to address the economic crisis which they have caused. The economic crisis is a result of selling oil and looting the oil money to the point of even impoverishing the government, becoming incapable of paying the basic salaries of the people who are working in the government, be them the security forces or the civil servants or the teachers or the doctors and other health workers. The teachers and the health workers actually now are only surviving on the aid that they receive from countries like the Netherlands, Norway, and UK, and to some extent, European Union. If it is not because of that, they would also have gone out of pay. The extension that President Kiir has done is only for him to continue in power and to continue looting the country, not serving the people. Continue dividing the people, continue fomenting communal conflicts as it has been. This extension is putting our country, as the 6 organizations have said, in a very big danger of falling into anarchy and collapsing into disorder. We believe, and we still believe, that it is time for all the South Sudanese stakeholders to come together, to unite, to rescue the country. On the appeal of President Kiir for General Thomas and myself to return, and he said, he mentioned our name because we were in the struggle together for the liberation. This is what he said. Of course, that is our country. We love it, we fought for it, and we will always work to serve it as a country and work to serve our people. If President Kiir is genuine about the values that are underpin our struggle, we call on him to join us to rescue the country from the mess he has led the country into. It is time for us to rescue the country itself, because it has already collapsed. And therefore, he should heed and accept the call of the non-signatories and many other South Sudanese stakeholders in civil society, for all South Sudanese, all of us, to convene a roundtable conference for us to discuss as equal stakeholders, as equal citizens who have equal rights and duties towards this country, to discuss a way forward for the country. And to develop a national consensus on that way forward. And we need to break the vicious cycle that the country is in now, and not to continue in that vicious cycle. Breaking it by agreeing to form a government that will be made of professional South Sudanese, a government of technocrats, and for the political parties, that is to say the parties in the government, for them to accept to step aside in the interest of the country. And for the parties also in the opposition to step aside. Instead of President Kiir calling on us to join the government, we are calling on him and those with him in the government that the transitional government has failed. And all the transitional governments in the past have failed. have failed because of vested interest, because of conflict within the parties. Let us agree to hand power to a caretaker government made of non-politicians, made of South Sudanese experts who are all over the world, and some are even inside the country. Many of them leading NGOs, others working as private doctors, others working with international organizations abroad, others teaching in universities abroad. These are experts. These are all South Sudanese cadres and capabilities. Let the political parties who always contest and struggle over power, let us agree now to give power to a caretaker government, people who are not struggling over this power, for them to stabilize the country, build the institutions of the government, prepare the country and the people for elections. And now, anybody from the political leaders can go and contest, submit themselves to the will of the people, for our people to elect their government in free and fair elections. But also, these political parties must agree before the people of South Sudan that they will be contesting these elections and will be working to serve the people peacefully. No use of arms or violence in our political life from here forward. And to also commit themselves before the people that you only assume an elected government position if you are elected in free and fair elections. And when you take power, your legitimacy is limited by the time provided in the Constitution and in the electoral law. Your time is up, you don't extend yourself in power. Whether you have succeeded to implement your program or you have failed to deliver on the promises you have made to the people. In both cases, you must hand back the power to the people to elect their government. If you are elected again, that's good. We'll say congratulations to you. This is a necessary agreement that we must arrive at before we set our country back on the right path of permanent peace and stable, peaceful, sustainable democracy. These agreements are necessary. A social contract also needs to be put forward so that anybody who wants to serve the people to be elected, there must be a code of conduct that you go and deliver on what you promise the people when you ask for their votes. That way, you will make the political class as servants of the people rather than overlords, lording over the people. Therefore, we renew our call today as non-signatories to the revitalized peace agreement, and we urgently call on all the South Sudanese stakeholders to convene an urgent roundtable conference conducted in a neutral ground for South Sudanese
to determine the future of the country once again. And specifically, we call on President Kiir, Vice President Riek Machar, and all the parties in the government to please accept coming to a roundtable conference with all the stakeholders in the country. Even if you come with your position that you want the extension, let it be approved by the people or the representative of all the stakeholders. And let us have a new transition. You all know it is a principle in political systems that legitimacy is always bound by time. There is no parliament in the world that can extend its time beyond what is agreed. There is no government that has the power to extend its time beyond what is agreed. The parties to the revitalized peace agreement have agreed that by December 2022, they will hand over power to the people to elect their government. Now they want to avoid that. And they want to avoid that by not implementing the agreement itself, by not implementing the prerequisites for elections. And they will now use that to extend their time in power. And it is going to be extension forever. It will be extension to nowhere. Even more clearly, it is going to be an extension to disaster, extension to more chaos, extension to more violence. Already violence has been there, but it is increasing. We are in a new cycle, and we need to avoid the country to go through this again. And our call to you, my dear brothers and sisters, South Sudanese in this room, is very simple. In its simplicity of logic itself, you know very well that all our transitional governments have failed. The first transition was from 2011 when we declared our independence. We transformed the government of Southern Sudan into a transitional government for the independent country in the hope that we'll go for elections in 2015. That government has failed, and it took the country to war. It took the country to war specifically to avoid elections, because the discussions were on democratizing the SPLM, on going for elections. And to avoid election, they took the country to war. Then the region intervened by calling for talks. The talks started 2015. We signed the peace agreement of 2015, and with a lot of resistance, especially from President Kiir refusing to sign, because that agreement says go take the country into a transition, and go to elections by the end in 2018. The government was formed after the agreement, after delays in 2016. That government only took 4 months before it collapsed and returned the country to war. A third government was formed, transitional government was formed by President Kiir and General Taban Dengai. That government also failed to implement the agreement. The war continued. We went for negotiations. The revitalized peace agreement was signed, and that government was formed in 2020, and it failed to implement the agreement despite the extension. Even the failure to implement the pre-transitional activities, leave alone the transitional program. All the transitional program have been shelved. They are actually now talking of the pre-transitional activities, like unification of the forces. And you heard the president talking of why the forces are not unified and why they are not going to be graduated. All many reasons are being made. That there is no money, that there is no arms, when the country is actually awash with arms. But these are not genuine. It has failed. They extended the transition, and it took 4 years instead of 36 months. Now they are extending. If they do not agree to go to a round table conference and form a government that can succeed, believe me, the 24 months will end, and they will come back again to you to tell you that they need more time to stay in power, because it is not about implementation of the agreement. You know very well, President Kiir has made it very clear, this agreement was not designed to be implemented. So my appeal to you is, please let us join hands. Let us join hands to rescue the country. Let us not listen to these calls of joining the government and forming a larger government by the parties. The parties have failed because of their own contradictions within themselves. And therefore, the only logical way is for the parties to accept, to stay out of the transitional government and let it be a caretaker government by neutral people who are not interested in political power itself, and avoid dragging the country down because of conflict of interest that we have. Is it not shameful for somebody in the government to extend their time in power, taking that decision away from the people who are the one who actually choose to give legitimacy and mandate to people or to the politicians? So, my brothers and sisters, let us rescue our country. Let us mobilize and call on Kiir and Riek and all those in the government to come and meet all the South Sudanese representative of South Sudanese stakeholders to build consensus and lay the foundation of our new nation so that we can build South Sudan that is peaceful, that is free, that is just for all South Sudanese, in which we can live in peace and harmony. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, General Pagan, the spokesperson for non-signatories. Actually, أنا دايرك يا ريت تعمل سمرايز يعني حاجة زي 3 minutes كده بعربي عشان الرسالة اللي برضه يمشي للشعب بتاع جنوب السودان اللي ما بيسمع إنجليزي. And then after that, Clara, you can take it over ونشيل زي 5 أسئلة من الأودينس دايرين يسألوا أسئلة. وبرضه في روم تانية ناس مولانا سالم عاملينه بيستضيفوا فوقه جنرال باغان وكذلك سفير ايمان الجاوين. هيجي بعد الروم ده طوالي حسب الرساله اللي جاني قبل شويه من مولانا سالم. انا فلو في ناس ثانيين عندهم اسئله ثانيه انا متاكد انا ما عرفت العنوان بتاع الغرفه شنو، لكن اكيد جنرال باغان هيكون قاعد هناك مع سفير ايمانويل so they will take more question. بكون كويس جنرال باغان لو انت عملت سمري بسيط كده بعربي عشان ترسل رسالتك للشعب بتاع جنوب السودان ما بسمع انجليزي اللي بيشاهدونا في اون يوتيوب وفيسبوك وبرضه في كلاب هاوس. بعد ذاك كلارا بشيل الفرصه بتاعتي. ثانك يو. جنرال باغان انت مشير من بعيد من مايك. كلارا عندك حاجه قدرت تقوله قبل جنرال باغان يضم قبل ما انا ما يفتح مايك بتاعه؟
انا ما مشيت بعيد. انا كان مشكله في انه الصفحه ذاته ياهو خش في صفحه ثانيه بتاعت رسائل وما قدرت ارجع له، فانا هسه رجعت. ببساطه نحن بنقول انه ده خبر مؤسف انه الرئيس الفكير قام اخذ القرار بتمديد الفترة بتاع وجوده في السلطة لمدة 24 شهر إضافية. وكان من الضروري إنه كل أصحاب المصلحة في جنوب السودان وقواه السياسية والمجتمع المدني والقيادات الدينية والنسوية والشباب في جنوب السودان إنه يعقدوا مائدة مستديرة لتطوير إجماع وطني لإنقاذ البلد من الحلقة الشريرة البلد فيه الآن، وقرار الحكومة والرئيس الفكير لتمديد مدة وجودهم في السلطة أو حكمهم ده قرار مؤسف، ونحن كتنظيمات الستة بنرفضه لأنه ده تمديد لمعاناة بتاع الشعب بتاعنا. وده التمديد ده خيانة للشعب، لأنه الأطراف اللي وقعوا الاتفاقية هم تعهدوا إنه يسلموا السلطة للشعب عشان ينتخب حكومته في نهاية الفترة الانتقالية. ما عندهم حق تاني يمدوا الفترة ويبعدوا ويشيلوا المهمة بتاعت وجودهم في السلطة من الشعب، وده خيانة للشعب. ولهذا نحن بنناشد كل القوى المجتمعية في جنوب السودان، كل أصحاب المصلحة في جنوب السودان، الستيك هولدرز، من القوى السياسية في الحكومة وفي المعارضة، من القيادات الدينية والمجتمع المدني والقيادات النسوية والشباب، إنه نحن نتوحدوا عشان ننقذ البلد. نرفض التمديد ونتجه لعقد مؤتمر مايدا المستديرة لاتفاق على مستقبل البلد، واتفاق على مرحلة جديدة انتقالية جديدة، واتفاق على شكل حكومة يتم تكوينه من الكفاءات الوطنية، لأنه الأحزاب السياسية شكلت وكانت تشكل دائما الحكومات الانتقالية فشلت بسبب الصراعات الداخلية بينهم كقوة سياسية، والمنافسة في السلطة بيدي لتخريب العملية السلمية في البلد. لذا بكون في الضروري إنه نحن نتفادى الحلقة الشريرة ده بإسناد الحكومة الانتقالية لكفاءات وطنية ما عندها مصلحة في الصراع السياسي الدائر في البلد. كفاءات وطنية عندها القدرة في إنه يعيد الاستقرار في البلد وينفذوا البرامج الانتقالية في الفترة الانتقالية دي، وينتهي بتبني دستور دائم وتسليم السلطة للشعب عشان ينتخب حكومته من القيادات السياسية اللي بتطرح نفسها للشعب في انتخابات حرة ونزيهة. ده الآن المطلب الوطني لإنقاذ جنوب السودان من التشتت ومن الانهيار. ده رسالتي ورسالتنا كتنظيمات الستة لكل الشعب في جنوب السودان. أناشد كل الحاضرين إنه يوصلوا الرسالة ده لكل مواطن في جنوب السودان، إنه ده جات الوقت عشان ما كلنا نتوحد ننقذ البلد. شكرا جزيلا.
قبل ما نمشي للسيشن بتاعت أسئلة مع كلارا جنرال باغان، أنا دايرك تعمل كومنت في الستيتمنت بتاع ترويكا يوم أمس. قبل في أثناء التوقيع على المذكرة في فريدم هول، مايكل مكوي كان قاعد يقول إنه البلد ده يعني ما بلد بديروا خواجات، وخواجات يعني لو هم قالوا ما في اكستنشن القرار ما قرار بتاعهم وكده، ورأيه ما مهم. فأنا رايك شنو كناطق رسمي باسم التحالف في الموقف بتاع ترويكا؟ واكيد الليله طبعا ما مشوا قاطعوا التوقيع الاكستنشن، وهل هيكون عنده تاثير؟ حكومه طبعا استهجنت القرار الراي بتاعت نرويج ويو كي ويونايتد ستيت وكده، فهل بيكون عنده تاثير ولا ما عنده تاثير؟ اتفضل بعد كلاري take it from there.
أولا بنشيد بقرار الدول الترويكا بعدم المشاركة في المسرحية الهزيلة اللي عملوه الليلة لتمديد فترة وجود القوى السياسية دي مع الرئيس الفكير في السلطة. بكل تأكيد قرارهم في اتجاه دعم الإجماع الوطني في جنوب السودان وعقد مشاورة بين أصحاب المصلحة والمواطنين كلهم بدون استثناء لأي أحد. وفي رسالتهم للرئيس هم قالوا إنهم هم واقفين مع شعب جنوب السودان. هو الكلام اللي بقوله مايكل ماكوي ده أولا ما صح. جنوب السودان ما بيحكموا الأجانب، والدول الثلاثة ديل وقفوا مع نضال شعب جنوب السودان وواقفين مع شعب جنوب السودان في الأزمة اللي احنا فيه ده لحد اللحظة اللي بنتكلم فيها. قبل أنا ذكرت لكم إنه الحكومة الحالية ده ما حكومة ذاته بيخدم شعب بتاع جنوب السودان، لا بوفروا أمن للمواطن، لا بيحموا المواطن وممتلكات بتاع المواطنين، لا بيوفروا تعليم للأطفال بتاع جنوب السودان، لا صحة في جنوب السودان، لا موية نظيفة في جنوب السودان. شوية موية الموجود أصل بنلقوه مثلا في مدينة زي جوبا ده بدعم من دول بتاع ترويكا ويابان. حتى التعليم البلغاوي يالنا هسه ده بدعم من الدول بتاع ترويكا بالإضافة لبعض الدول من الاتحاد الأوروبي خاصة هولندا. البريطانيين ياو داعمين لمستشفيات في جنوب السودان مع النرويجيين، وكثير من برامج تانية بتاع الحكومة بالتمويل من USA. لو انت شفت حتى المواطنين بتاعنا العايشين الليلة عايشين على الدعم من الدول ده، الدعم الإنساني. حسب بنتكلم عن 6,800,000 مواطن في خطر بتاع مجاعة إذا الدول ده ما قدموا دعم عشان يقدروا يعيشوا. ليه؟ لأنه الزراعة بتاعنا انهار بسبب بتاع غياب لسياسة اقتصادية وغياب لسياسة زراعية من الحكومة خالص بالكامل. الشعب في جنوب السودان عايشين على الدعم من الأجانب. ما في وجود لحكومة. وين القروش تاع البترول؟ وين النون اويل ريفينيوز؟ بمشي للجيوب بتاع الناس الحكومة. هل الحكومة ده قاعد يقدم أي خدمة؟ ده شنو اللي بيقدمه؟ ما يخلطوا بين أشياء. الدول ده قالوا كلام واضح جدا إنه أنتوا حقوا تشاوروا بعضكم. إذا فشلتوا في تنفيذ الاتفاقية ادرسوا ليه فشلتوا، بسبب شنو؟ وهم قالوا حيقيفوا مع شعب بتاع جنوب السودان. اقرا البيان بتاعه وهم طلبوا يقابلوا الرئيس عشان يقولوا لهم رأي، لأنه هم داعمين للشعب بتاع جنوب السودان. ونحن نقول للدول بتاع الترويكا إنه يدعموا الإجماع الوطني، يدعموا المائدة المستديرة، عشان كل القيادات في المجتمع بتاع جنوب السودان يخرجوا البلد ده من الأزمة اللي احنا فيه. ده ما جانب يا بغرب، نحن دايرين مائدة مستديرة عشان كل أصحاب المصلحة، all the stakeholders، نجي نقعدوا ونناقشوا البلد ده نطلعوه من الأزمة اللي احنا فيه ده كيف. وأنا متأكد إن هنتفق، إلا الناس اللي بيكونوا قلبهم دايرين يمسكوا السلطة لحد ما الشعب ده كله يموت، حتى لو كان البلد بيفرقد ما بيهمهم، بس همهم ده السلطة. إلا الزول قلبه بس في السلطة، يا زول اللي برفض الكلام بتاع إنه نينا نتفق عشان ننقذ البلد. ووقت ده وقت البلد بقى في خطر، خطر بتاع انهيار. ده تتشبث بالسلطة ده لحد ما البلد ده يختفي. إذا البلد ده ينهار ويتشتت ما بيكون في بلد ذاته انت حتى، ولا ما في بلد انت حتنها قدام ذاته، لأنه هيتفرق. فرجعت الوقت إنه الرئيس الفقير وناس زي ناس مايكل مكوي يخلوا الكلام بتاع مخاطرات، ويخلوا الكلام بتاع الشكل الإثبات وخصومات. نحن نجي نلم يدينا يا اخوانا نغزو بلدنا ونسلم السلطه ده ذاته للشعب، خليه ينتخب حكومه بتاعه. لو هم ما خايفين من شعب ماله، ما بنقول مش دايرين نشيلوا السلطه كمعارضه. No, this is not what we are saying. We are saying, please give it to neutral people. There are South Sudanese experts all over the world, even in the country. The political parties have failed. We have failed. Let us reorganize the country, give it to experts in all the fields to reorganize it, and from there, they hand over the power to the people to come and elect their government by elections. That's what we are saying. Let us stop all the wars. Let us stop all this rhetoric of insisting to hold power or insisting to take it by force or by any means. Let us agree to give it to neutral people who do not even want it, but we will ask them to stabilize the country, hand it to the people, and let the people elect their government. And we take our country into peace that way. End of conflict. And that's our message to those of Michael McCoy. The time of rhetoric and all these stories of who is ruling where, it's too late. The country is collapsing. We have to rescue it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, General Pagan Amon, للشرح الواضح لنا نحن كلنا كجنوبيين. أنا ما حتكلم كتير. I will open the hand raise for the question. وأنا بشكر كتير Comrade Edward for bringing the chairman Pagan Amon عشان يجي يشرح لنا الحاصل شنو. بشكركم كلكم الضيوف بتاعنا في الروم. The hand raise is open. So if you have a question, we will take 3 questions for now. روم ما حشيل كتير يا جماعة. هنقفل الروم بسرعة لأنه في روم تاني. أنا thank you so much.
No, تاني كلارا نينا نشيل بس يمكن yeah 3 questions I think is good. لأنه أنا داير أقفل الفيسبوك وأنا أمشي على الشغل بعد تقريبا 30 دقيقة من هسه. So thank you.
Okay. Yes, 3 questions would be okay.
يا ناتالي نوير عندك 3 minutes. أنا هنا نفضل كل زول عنده 1 question يا جماعة. في الروم تاني جنرال باقان ماشي عليه. أنا ذاته داير أقفل اللايف. لازم هو ينهي كلامه يجاوب على أسئلة، والفيسبوك لسه connected مع يوتيوب عشان in case
Three minutes, Jama, is too much. You can make only 1 or 2 minutes because people are many.
It's okay. We got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, moderator brother Edward and Sister Clara, and thank you also General Paganamum for your speech about the session العملون ناس الحكومة أو حكومة الكاسس for another 24 months. أنا معي أساسا I want to أنا دايما نخش في مقترحات عملية طبعا إنه for us to make a real change or to rescue our country from this abysmal situation that we've been that has been imposed on us by these two power among us parties, those who are now trying to feed themselves and suffering with our South Sudanese. The only thing for us as the other South Sudanese or citizens of South Sudan, for us to change the status quo, first of all, we need to capitalize on the move of the whole yesterday. It's very clear now, the current regime or the two main signatories, so SPLM-IG or SPLM-IO, these two parties that are so adamant and they will never relinquish the power. So for me, and it would be a question for us, we need first of all to put a lot of pressure on them, or at this level, as it could be a certain pressure so that for them to choose otherwise. Otherwise, if we keep pleading for them in Uyaka to come to their sense, I don't think these people, they have lost their sense for a very long time back, and people should not be entertaining that they may come or they may have their concern may be pricked by the current situation or the suffering that the people of South Sudan are suffering. People that are suffering an immense humanitarian situation, hunger that has happened to a country, unity state or for Arab state itself. These people, it will never move an iota of any sense in them to change the course of direction. So for us, the only thing we need to capitalize, we need to put a petition to the UN, to the IGAD, and to the Terwega, for them to put the pressure at this last we have they have to put Kiir and Mashar under sanction. The جرائم تم ارتكابها في الفترة الفاتت عشان at least to restrict the movement. ده الحاجة بخلين for them to come to the table to make a compromise في round table that you are calling for. Otherwise, if we don't put this kind of pressure on them, I don't think they will come into their sense to change or to compromise. The only thing that will make them to compromise, these people now that are hungry for a fund from the international community. That's why I say this is because they didn't get money. So if we put a lot of restriction on them, even this oil is to be sanctioned, not to be sold. This is the only way for them to come on the table to sit with the South Sudanese but to listen to the voice of the people of South Sudan. Otherwise, if we make this kind of polite of diplomatic call, they will never understand this. Anyway, we need to move also on the others في الجبهات الثانية مع international using our leverage that we are having, especially you, General Pagana Mum. You need to move very very hard in US there or with these international like bodies. Let us put sanction on them. This will be the only mean for them to bring them to the table so that they can make a compromise. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brother Nur. Luke, go ahead with your 3 minutes.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead with your 3 minutes, please.
Are you getting me now?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Eligi Luke. I'm Executive Director of Africa National Organization in South Sudan. I'm also a member of civil societies of South Sudan. So basically, I don't want to talk much because we have been actually discussing concern of the people of South Sudan. And I would like to
please. Are you using headset? We are not hearing you.
Yes?
Are you using headset?
No. I'm just using my phone, not a headset.
Yeah. There is too much noise.
So what I was saying that basically based on the issue of the extension process that we have been doing in Juba, we, the civil societies of South Sudan, we have not even conducted any specific event, and then that can present our position as a civil societies. It was just an individual voice that presents the voice of the people of South Sudan. So that is not an voice of the civil societies. Secondly, my question is, as now, if we, the people of South Sudan, accept the transition period extension, so what are the impacts and what would be the achievement that we are going to achieve during this transition period? Yes, so to be implemented during the transition period. So what will be the result of this?
Brother Luke, your voice is getting very bad, to be honest.
Secondly, we don't see any impacts that can be a benefit to the people of South Sudan. Are you getting me? So I don't know, maybe it's just an internet. My internet is not good. So my question, basically, what will be the impacts or benefit to this extension for the people of South Sudan? Because we don't see any impact on all this extension period. Secondly, is within this period of extension, is the government going to bring all the warring parties who are non-signatory to this peace agreement to be a part of this extension period? So this is one thing that we don't know. As we, based on our analysis, we don't see any impact and we don't even see any benefit to the people of South Sudan, to the exit. This extension, believe me or not, it will bring the country, it will take the country into another level that we are not even expecting, because it's going to increase. Because they have been talking a lot of different things that they are moving in the transition period that they have been agreed before. So, and all these things, I don't think that
Brother Luke,
this will not take the country forward. And
Look, أنا كمان سامعين لك الجماعة كويس.
So, secondly, you the people who are we need you to
Yeah, look, and I tried to mute you, but you're not even listening. Brother Luke.
on what the
Luke?
of South Sudan are doing. Because
yeah, look, and I can't mute you even. I am going to move you down for a little bit.
The point of them. Okay, I think so. My internet is not good. Sorry.
Yeah, your internet is not good. We can't hear nothing. I hear a lot of things that we miss. So let the other person come. If your internet be كويس ممكن ترجع. ممكن تطلع برا وتجي. Because there is a lot of things that ما في سؤال بتاعك ما سمعوا. Thank you. Brother Stephen, go ahead for your 3 minutes. Stephen. If Stephen is not there, let's give to CPI. Go ahead with your 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Sister Clara, Engineer Edward, and Comrade General Pagaramu. The spokesperson for non-signatory South Sudanese group, and the real SPLM chairman. This is General Charles Pinson, the leader and the chairman and commander-in-chief of the Equatorial Bloc for Equality and Justice Movement. We're a separatist movement. Just a comment before I ask a question. General Pagan, you really presented well on the position or your response as song to the extension of the 24 months. First and foremost, I want to condemn the extension. The extension of these 24 months of access means an extension to the occupation of Equatoria. It means an extension to a continuation of occupation of the Cholo lands in the Cholo kingdom. It means an extension of killing in Equatoria, killing in Barghazal, killing in Upper Nile, and continuous, isolation of our people from returning back to our land. Salva Kiir and the regime in Juba and the partners must know that the war is not going to be ending, but it's going to be escalating. We thought that this ending of access in February next year of 2023 would bring some hope to the people in South Sudan and in Equatorial nation. But now the extension means the continuous killing, like what happened on last weekend in my Boma, in my Paya of Lowey, Boma. 7 people were killed. These are people killed during the peace. Last one was in Ngangala. 9 people were killed in the time of peace. And there's killing always during the peace. Why? Yet during the war, there were no people killed in Equatorial land. My question is, Comrade Pagan, you say that the non-signatories now, from now onwards, will not use arms to change the regime in Cuba, but use non-violence.
CPI, please, your time, because your time is up.
Use non-violence. How are you going to handle the members in your organization, in the 6th group, who are armed? How are you going to handle, for us as a separatist, who will be objecting the killing of Salva Kiir in Equatoria, the continuous occupation of Equatorial land, the continuous forceful of SSPDF not allowing Equatorial refugees to come back to Equatoria, and occupation of our international borders. We cannot do it without defending ourselves, even using our local tools.
Can you try to wrap up, Leah? Thank you so much. عشان عندنا ما عندنا زمن كتير خالص. Thank you so much.
I wanted to do something on the Troika, but it's okay.
Yeah, sorry. Next time. Warele, اتفضل. With your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, shukran jazilan, Clara, and I think Edward and Comrade Fagan. I go straight to my question. Comrade Pagana, we have been keenly following the recent development from yesterday, and I'm happy that you came out straight to give a position of the three group on the current development. Now, I was listening, and it's clear that the non-signatories, they object the extension. That's clear. Now, my question is, now the call for how do you see the roundtable approach, the proposition of the opposition, given the current development, especially that during his speech, Salva Kiir drew a map and then called on the opposition to bring their proposition, their ideas to kind of fill into the roadmap that he has already made. This is something I heard him saying, calling for you guys to come in with the ideas and fill in the gaps that he has in the roadmap. In other words, will you consider the round table with this sitting with Salva Kiir on his terms based on his roadmap, or the opposition still believes that a round table should be clean and all the stakeholders should sit as equal partners? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, brother Orel. يا جماعة أول حاجة بعتذر لكم للناس اللي ما لقوا فرصة. I'm very sorry لأنه ما عندنا time كتير. And then there will be a room هيفتحوا بعد الروم ده طوالي. You guys can join that room وممكن تسألوا الأسئلة بتاعكم كلكم. I'm very sorry again. أنا بدي كامريك باغان يجاوب الأسئلة بتاعكم.
Thank you, Comrade Clara. I would like to thank the brothers who made comments and asked questions. First, I would like to agree with Engineer Noor in his position that Kiir will not listen to polite diplomatic appeals. And indeed, we have made an appeal for all the stakeholders, including the political parties in the government, for us to go to a round table. They did not listen to us. We also appeal to them not to extend the government to remain in power for a period beyond February 2023. They did not listen to us. So definitely we need to mount pressures. For us to succeed in building those pressures, like enough to force Kiir and those who are with him to come to the round table and talk the language of rescuing the country. We need to do a lot of things, including the things you have suggested, Brother Noor, like writing a petition. For us to write a meaningful petition, it means many of our citizens may be writing a petition with 1 million signatures. It is possible. We can do it. But you can see it must be all of us, and we must campaign for it. All of us, don't leave it to the 6 organizations. That is why the 6 organizations are calling on all the stakeholders. And let me assure you all here that we have been consulting with many of our stakeholders. We have been reaching out to civil society organizations, to our religious leaders, to many of our women leaders, to many of our youth leaders. And we are holding a meeting this weekend with a larger group. And I'm hopeful and sure, even not just hopeful, but sure, that that larger group will come out with a statement. It will add to the pressure. And it will be not the sixth organization. By this weekend, you will come to know that it is more than 10 different organizations will be joining us. And they have their weight. Some are inside the country, some are outside the country. And I will also like to invite all of you to join a spontaneous WhatsApp group that has been created by some young people in Juba yesterday when they had the announcement. It is called No Extension. I have realized that when I saw this morning, even though it was started last night, more than 500 people already have joined that group. I would like to encourage you to join them and join in the debate and the discussion that is happening in that forum. Not to allow the extension. This is also another project that is happening. Yes, writing petition, calling for sanctions will come, including working and mobilizing for the sanctions on oil and for oil even to stop the sale of oil. Can you believe that the oil has been sold to 2027 according to the Minister of Finance, and the money is not coming to the government, to the Ministry of Finance. And the Minister of Finance was rebuked. The President told him, you correct what you have said, that the oil is not sold. And imagine, he came out, but he could not say something different. What he said, well, I am taken out of context. But actually, he exactly repeated the same thing. He said the oil is still in the ground. It has not been sold. Of course, when you say future sale, it means the oil in the ground is sold. You are receiving money already for it before it is even produced. Including the oil that will be produced in 2027 is already sold and money is taken by some people. And these are some people who are actually not far. It is the president himself taking the oil. And the argument the Minister of Finance decided to bring forward that this oil is committed for development. What development? Where is that development happening? If they have taken the money already, where is that development? This is looting. He again came out and told the truth that the gold is being stolen by powerful people. Who are these people? Everybody knows. It's the president and some people around him and the governors who are where gold is found. Everybody knows this. When we talk about the non-oil revenues, the customs and the taxes, are being collected. You know very well that the Commissioner General of Custom, the Ghanaian, was dismissed because he was publishing how much money was being raised. And people were shocked that in 6 months, he was able to raise more than enough to pay the salaries for the whole year. They dismissed him. And after him, money is being collected and more is being collected, but where is it going? Disappearing again. And that is the situation. So extension means more looting. It means more economic crisis, more suffering of people. It means more fighting and wars and killing of our people all over the country. So yes, we need to do more pressure, and we are going to apply the pressures. We are going to apply the pressures and force Kiir to come to accept to rescue the country. Otherwise, the country will collapse. But these pressures also will extend. If Kiir continues to refuse the talks, it will reach to an uprising, even in Juba. Don't tell me that South Sudanese are afraid to die or to be killed. But when they are going to lose their country, what is the meaning of being alive? When you die of hunger, what is the meaning of being alive? Why would you fear to die from a bullet? The people will reach that point, I am sure. Unless Kiir accept to come to the table so that we can peacefully rescue the country will be rescued even by the people rising. Now, the question of Luke was clear. And the point he made actually is that there is no benefit. He's not seeing any benefit for the people with this extension. It will just be more suffering. And I agree with you. There has been no consultation with the civil society. Few individuals consulted and threatened to say that they have been consulted. That is not enough. We need to go to a round table to determine the future of this country again by rescuing it, to take it to permanent peace and to a stable, peaceful democracy. Handing the power back to the people to elect their government. We have entered the 11th years without our people electing their government. And it cannot continue like this. This country is collapsing already. Now, the question of General Charles, that the most important question is that if we are saying as six organizations that we want to find a peaceful solution to this and not by war, but by us peacefully finding a solution. My brother Charles, as a separatist, that is a position that you have reached to. I'm sure you were a South Sudanese nationalist at one time, and you work for the independence of South Sudan in your own way. Now you believe that South Sudan is not a country that you belong to, and you want to separate Equatoria for it to be a separate nation. I do not agree with you in your position to dismember South Sudan. I believe that South Sudan is a nation that all South Sudanese struggle for from generation to generation. All South Sudanese, including and particularly in Equatoria. We have many of our founding fathers who died struggling for South Sudan and for the dream of making South Sudan a separate and independent nation. People like Father Saturino, who in the parliament in Sudan told the Northern Sudanese members of parliament and the public that if the people of South Sudan one day decide to separate, nobody is going to stop them. And there should be no confusion about this. Nobody in this world will stop them, and it is true. His statement was a prophecy. When the people of South Sudan chose to separate, nobody was able to stop them. The fact that the project of an independent, peaceful, just South Sudan for all South Sudanese is faced with difficulties and has been betrayed by somebody like President Kiir himself, it does not end the project. Those of us who believe in that peaceful, prosperous, and just South Sudan, where liberty, freedom, justice, and prosperity shall forever reign, a nation in which all South Sudanese will live in peace and unity and harmony, will be achieved. The struggle will continue, and it will be achieved. And I hope that you, Charles, will yourself be convinced and you will work towards it and achieve it as a country in which you find yourself, in which your people in your Payam or Buma or state will come to the realization that this is their country and they have equal rights like anybody else in it, where there will be no discrimination, either on the basis of tribe or region or gender. And that we will be all equal, we will enjoy the same rights all over South Sudan without any form of discrimination. I hope you will regain your faith in this dream and work towards realize it. But before that is achieved, the only thing we can have with you is to have dialogue. To persuade you that is going to be important for us, and to try to convince you that don't lose hope in the dream of South Sudan simply because of wrong policies being implemented by Kiir and his clique. Of course, if you take up arms against the government, you have the right to defend yourself. You have the right to fight for your ideas. That is your right. Nobody can take it from you. And what I am talking about is that we, the six organizations, have agreed to come together to call on South Sudanese for us to go, all the stakeholders, to go to a roundtable conference where we can, through dialogue, build a national consensus for a way forward and agree on a new dispensation, possibly agree to form a government of technocrats, because the political parties who have been in governments all along have failed to take our country to peace and stable, peaceful democracy.
General Pagan?
That is, yes.
Yeah, I want you just give me 1 minute. You will continue from there. Let me just, I want to close the Facebook. Honestly, I'm late from work, and that is very sad actually. أنا خلوني أشكر المشاهدين في صوت الشعب في فيسبوك وفي يوتيوب. جنرال باغان هيجاوب على آخر سؤال بتاع يكمل كلامه في كلام بتاع وريلي، كلام بتاع شارلز، وبعدها بيجاوب على سؤال بتاع باشمهندس وريلي، ونهنا نقفل الكلاب هاوس نمشي طوال ننضم للروم بتاع NDM. already General Pagan was invited. I'm very sorry ما كنا عارفين إنه الروم في روم معلش زول قاعد يقول في سامعني يا كلارا؟
يس سامعنا.
يا في زول دقلي. ما كنا عارفين، انا بعتذر للناس NDM انه ما كنا عارفين قبل، لكن حتى لما سالم كتب لي قلت له بس ان هنا نعمل ساعه ونص ممكن تجيروا الروم، لكن شكلهم فتحوا روم برضه اننا ننضم لهم بعد ما جنرال باغان يكمل كلامه. I hope الناس اللي بيجوا بيخشوا لنا في South Sudan Political Club would they report the room. I hope they did not come today to report the room. باقي جاوب بتاع جنرال باغان هيكملوا هنا. If they report the room والروم ما ظهر برضه في كلاب هاوس، انا بقول لا يزول جه هنا متاخر بترجع لنا في فيسبوك وفي يوتيوب فويس اوف بيبل فورم، الكلام ده كله بيكون موجود لحد اخر كلام. انا معلش انا بعتذر للناس اللي قاعدين في فيسبوك اللي كان عندهم اسئله. النرتيب حلقه مهم جدا خلال الاسبوع الجاي ده مع جنرال باغان. will come here to stay with him. وكمان خلي اي زول ده يسال سؤال جنرال باغان ممكن يساله will be connected to the Facebook and to the clubhouse. The last point لانه كلارا they will moderate يمكن بعد ما جنرال باغان ينتهي. انا برضو داير اخد في attention بتاع جنرال باغان عشان يعمل فوق كومنت لما ينتهي في جاب بتاع كلام بتاع وريليا، انه الرئيس الفاكير قبل شويه في الساعه 9 تقريبا اقال الوزير الماليه اقاق عشويل شاله برا، وكذلك هو اقال المحافظ بتاعت البنك المركزي وكلف النائب بتاعه. برضو هل ده بيكون حل للازمه الاقتصاديه؟ الجنرال باغان انت بس ممكن تعلق عليه. اننا نروم بكره الصباح اننا نجي هنا ونجي نشغل الاصوات بتاع الليله اكستنشن الناس اللي يتكلموا ديل وبنقيمهم in full analysis before I go to work. So General Pagan, sorry so much for cut you there. انا بقفل الفيسبوك هنا بعدك you continue. Sorry to say that because really I have to drive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Edward. I know that it is okay. You can